rely on the God that has their back. Very important here. No other religion, but in Christianity, God prays for you. That means that God has your back. So I realized that in my educational pursuit, right, I said I started 9 years ago, really, after high school, and even through high school, the key thing was for me keeping my faith. See, I struggle with sometimes keeping my faith, right? I went to a New York City public school, and being Adventist is not a luxury. It's definitely not a luxury, right? Because on the weekends, that's when everything is going down. You know, the biggest parties are going down on Saturday. The best TV shows happen on Saturday. I love cartoons, the best cartoons happen on Saturday. So it was always hard for me to tell people why I couldn't come out and hang out with my friends on Saturday. So, you know, they'll be like, Kofi, I want you to come out and hang with me. And man, I didn't have an answer, so I'm like, well, what are we trying to say? I'm like, man, you know, I just can't do it. My mother needs me, you know what I'm saying? Check this out. I was afraid to let them know about my Adventist faith. And a lot of us, the reason why we are not able to keep our faith through our Christian journeys because we don't keep it 100 with God. We don't keep it 100 with God. And if you want to, in your Adventist faith, pursue that through your educational journey, you got to remember that if you want to prevail, remember that in Luke 22 verse 31, it says, Satan has asked to sift all of you as wheat, but I have prayed for you. Okay. So let me go to the next thing. I want to hit this in 20 minutes so we can hit the question and answer period. So the second thing I kind of want to, kind of talk about here is parents, right? I told you my dad is my hero, and the interesting about my father is that my father, like many of you here, grew up in a poor family. Didn't grow up with much. Matter of fact, my father stayed home for 7 years because his parents could not pay for his education. But through all the circumstances my father went through, my father came to the United States and achieved his dream. He achieved that dream of earning his degree. And I said it to this education weekend. So in 1996, when my father finished his doctorate and handed it to his professor, Dr. Bauer, my father wrote the acknowledgments. When you write your dissertation, you have the acknowledgments. So my father in the acknowledgement says, the final part, when my father worked on a dissertation, he just wasn't around much. He was working 2-3 jobs. A lot of us can't even do that today, right? A lot of us who are going to school, we're lucky we have parents who are behind us. He was doing 2-3 jobs and paying his way through school. But in the acknowledgments, this is what my father wrote. He says to my children, at that time my sister wasn't born, but my sister's watching, my father loves you always. This is what my father said. And the final part of his dissertation acknowledgement, he says, to my sons, Kofi and Kojo, the Lord shall surely reward them. Those are the words he put there. And when I read that, I was like, man, my father has the best intentions for me. And right there and then, my father has always been my hero. And I want to get to the second commandment here. That's very critical about how I did it and how you can keep your faith through your Adventist journey is this. Thou can keep thy faith in thy educational pursuit by having an appreciation for family. See, for me, my whole thing is that I was able to gain and have success in my education because I had an appreciation for family, and my family had an appreciation for me. See, a lot of times, I have the privilege of going to different churches, working with different young groups. A lot of people say, Kofi, talk to my son, talk to my daughter. At that time, sometimes even too late, I'm like, sometimes I'm like, what can I even say? And sometimes the people who are saying this, I can do, we did a youth crusade recently in Columbus. Sometimes you do this for their children, but their parents are not behind them. So I'm like, we do all these programs for you all, and then you don't come, you don't bring your child, but then they want me to talk to your child for you. The key thing is this here. What I realized my parents did differently is that they had an appreciation for us, and that made me have an appreciation for them. And just 3 quick things I just want to highlight here, and we can open that up for discussion, things of that nature. Keeping your faith as you matriculate through school requires your parents being your biggest cheerleaders. That's how I did in my educational pursuit. My parents were my biggest cheerleaders, and I'm about to show you some examples here. Investment in your child, which can yield great returns. And then the role of the parent now punctuated on fixing your child in programs by being a part of the process. I'm about to break this down to you all right here. So, one thing about our family, I said that as a family, you have to invest in your child's education. And like I said, you have to be the biggest cheerleaders for your son or daughter. And that's exactly what my parents were. They were my biggest cheerleaders. Let me tell you something. To this day, I could be doing a speech for maybe my law school, right? It's far away from my parents or things of that nature. My mother and father will call, Kofi, are they going to stream it on Facebook Live? I want to hear you. Little words like that my parents would do. Not only that, we also have what we call a family group chat. We call that immediate family. Family is big, so you gotta narrow it a bit. You know what I'm saying? You can't have everybody. So we have a group chat called immediate family, and the immediate family, that's where sometimes today getting on the phone for us young people is a little tough. Right? I remember when my mother texted, I couldn't believe. I'm like, my mother texted? Is this for real? Did someone hijack her phone? My mother really texted. I'm like, oh, snap, Mom, you really texted. I want you to understand something. We created this group chat because we wanted to make sure that we can cheer each other on. So with this group chat right here, our family, through my educational pursuits, when I get an award or certificate, or my family's like, Kofi, today we're just thinking about you. All those things mentally has an effect on you. A lot of times in our Ghanaian circle, and I can speak this because I work with young people and I speak to a various amount of them. Sometimes we say that we have a relationship with our children when it's a one-way kind of relationship, right? And that relationship is sometimes when we're talking to our child, we're talking at them, but we're never listening to them. Sometimes, when it comes to having conversation with them, we're yelling at them, but not building a relationship. Maybe sometimes when we're dealing with our child, we're telling them what to do, but not necessarily having a relationship with them. And the second thing I want to get through here is this. My family and I, we have genuine conversation. We sit at the table for dinner. We sit at the table for lunch. We sit at the table for breakfast. We have conversations and really generally want to get to know one another. And I'm saying all these things might be what we call minutia. They might be small, but they add up to your child's mental health and for them keeping their adventism and their faith through their educational journey. And the key thing I want to say here is this. As a parent, you have to invest in your child. And then the final thing I want to add with the parent thing is that a lot of times we fix our children in programs, but we're not a part of the process. So a lot of times, we put them in after-school programs, we put them in Pathfinder programs, adventurous programs, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. But sometimes we're not part of the process. And I can speak from this because, I used to go to a white church when I was growing up, PMC, and that's where I used to do Sabbath school. Matter of fact, Yao and I and my brother, we all used to ride together back to Michiana. And I'm going to tell you this. The parents will be so invested in their child. When they're doing the Pathfinder programs, the parents are right there with them, whether they're volunteering, doing all these kind of things. The whole thing is that the parents made a presence in their children's lives. And that's how I did it. That's how I made it through my advanced faith, is that my parents were part of the process. But let me get to the next thing here. And I'm going to get to the third commandment, the third Kofi's commandment of keeping your faith in your Advent journey. Thou shalt keep a circle of winners. Now this is big. This is big. See, a lot of times we want to be cool, so we don't want to keep the right circle of winners. And I understand. You know, I'll never forget going. But let me tell you something here, and this is tweetable material right here. The peers change, but the pressure is still there as you grow. The peers will change, but the pressure never leaves. Meaning that even people who are 40, 50 still get peer pressure from different things. And for me, keeping my Adventist faith through my educational journey, I realized that I had to keep a circle of winners and not necessarily keep people that are cool and that will make me look good. I need everybody to understand this point right here. I have a diversity of friends. But I always knew that if I needed to keep my Adventist journey, there were some people I needed to keep extra close to me. Now, I'm going to show you my winners, right? None other than my good friend, Twumasi. And, you know, I'm going to talk about Twumasi here real quick. You know, Kojo, if you're listening, man, I'm talking about you right now. I know he's at his church, but he's definitely going to watch it. He's going to critique me after this. But let me tell you something about Kojo. First day of law school. I'll never forget. Now, law school is scary. Who can I pick on in here? All right, Christopher, I'm going to pick on. Christopher does fantastic with social media. She does all the social media for our next youth camp. But let me tell you this, right? In law school, I'll never forget. So in law school, you know, I took my test here in Canada, and then I got admitted late to law school. It was a late decision, but by God's grace, I was able to get in. So I missed orientation week, and law school is it's a tough program. It's a whole different ballgame. And in law school, they use something called the Socratic method. Does anybody know what the Socratic method is? Where are my 4.0 scholars? I don't have it. 4.0? Okay. This is it. They use the Socratic method. So the Socratic method is pretty much this. When you go into class, they'll be like, Christabel, I want you to tell me about the case of Hawkins versus McGee. The professor will call you out in front of class and will expect you to know all the questions he's throwing at you. So you throw like 50 questions and he's on you for the whole class. So for an hour and a half, he's on you, he's on you, he's on you. And so I think I pressed something. Someone can go back to my slide for me, please. For 50 minutes, the professor is on you. He's like, Mr. Twumasi, you know, they can never say my name right. Mr. Twumasi, tell me about this. Tell me about this. And let me tell you something. You know, for me, I say, man, I'm so confident in my intellectual abilities. I'm like, man, I'm the smartest person in the world, man. Ain't nobody gonna embarrass my intellect. I can come at you quick with my intellectual capability. So this professor asked me some tough questions. I was like, shoot. You know, because that was my first day. I had not read the material. I did not know what was going on, and I couldn't believe this happened to me. So I'm like, my Lord, I don't think I can do law school, man, because everybody here is brilliant, man. You know, all of you are using these big words. I'm like, man, I didn't have my big vocabulary ready today. So that evening, I went back and I called Kojo. I was like, Kojo, and this is what I'm talking about, keep a circle of winners. I said, Kojo, I don't think I can do law school, man. Y'all smart, but, you know, law school, you have people who are number ones, number twos in their class. I'm like, I don't think I can do this. And I'm talking about keeping a circle of winners. Kojo was like, look, man, and this is why I love Kojo, man. This is why I love my brother. He was like, Kojo, Kofi, read your books, get to work, and you gotta stick through this program, man. And Kojo spoke to me like, my father. Man, he said that and I was just silent on the phone. I was like, you're right though, you're right, you're definitely right. And the key thing I want to say is that when you keep a circle of winners, that will allow you and help you keep your Adventist faith through your journey. Because right there, Kojo prayed for me. He was like, look, man, I know you can do this. You're the smartest guy I know. I look up to you. I know you can do this. And 3 years later, indeed, I did get that JD. Amen. The key thing is having a circle of winners. Not only that, I also highlight my best friend. He's in California. I met him at Walla Walla University. And same thing. He had a tough family coming up. And I saw the things that he would go through, but his perseverance through education, that also helped me keep my Adventist faith. Because I realized that when you keep positive-minded individuals around you, that breeds positivity to your life. And that's the key thing here. A lot of times, so many of us have the wrong circles. We have feel-good circles. We have circles that will make us look cool. But what I'm talking about today is that you need to have, thou shalt keep a circle of winners. Let me get to number 4 here. And those are also my buddies as well, people who have helped me along the journey. But I want to open up this for questions soon. I only got 10 minutes. Thou shalt learn from the experience of others. This is the 4th commandment, the 4th Kofi's commandment. This is how I made it through my Adventist faith. You see, when I was going to Walla Walla University, there was only one other Ghanaian, well, 2 of them that I knew that went to Walla Walla University. So I was like, you know what? I want to learn how I can still keep my Adventist faith. I'm going, see, my parents are in the East Coast, New York, and Walla Walla is all the way in the West Coast. I'm going far away. I'm going to be seeing them once a year. You know, I have so much freedom. But I realized that I still needed to find a way how I can keep my faith grounded. So, alumnus of Walla Walla University, many of you all may know him, is Kwesi Donko. So Kwesi, you know, he's known me since I was a child. So I was like, Kwesi, we met up in Atlanta, and I said, Kwesi, you know, you went to Walla Walla, you know, tell me what that's like. And you know, if you know Kwesi, he always keeps it short and blunt. He's like, man, it's a culture shock. I'm like, Kwesi, you gotta tell me more, man. He's like, it's a culture shock, man, but keep your faith on God. He was just as blunt. And I say this, thou shalt learn from the experience of others, because I reached out to people who had already gone through the journey already to help me out on my journey. And that's how some of y'all got to think. Some of y'all are not visionaries and don't think far. If you want to keep your Adventist faith, you got to be intentional about the things that you do in life. And for me, I was like, let me learn from others who have gone through it already, so that I can also utilize that in my life. And right there, Kwesi Donko was like, look, man, these are the things that you need to do as you go through Walla Walla University. Because he went through Walla Walla University. And the same thing here I'm challenging those who are students is that if you're going to college or university or even life in general, people who are going through the same journey that you're trying to go through, call them, reach them out, and learn from them. I used to call Kwesi all the time. So call him and look, man, I got this situation going on. How can I make this happen? How can I make this happen? And over the time, we developed a close bond. Not only that, also another guy called Nixon as well. He was a lawyer. And let me let you understand this, I went to an Adventist school and a non-Adventist school. He too was also part of the process that helped me. So learn from the experience of others. We get to the 5th commandment. Thou shalt have mentors who can guide you meaningfully. Not everyone who you say is a mentor is a mentor. And what I want to make you all recognize is that the mentors you have shows how far you're going to go in life. Period. And let me show you some of my mentors here. One of them is, he's standing next to Pedro. His name is called Pedrito Maynard Reed. When I got to Walla Walla University, I was like, I want to be like the best person here on this camp. My goals were so high. Some of us, we have low goals. And I say this, low aim is a sin. Right? Because the greatest tragedy of life is not just having a dream, but having no dream to reach. Or having no goals to reach. So for me, I was like, who is the top person at this campus that I can learn from? Right there. I identified the person, I made myself accessible to that person. The key thing here is this. You need to have mentors who can guide you. People who can help you keep your faith. Not only that, I also have individuals like Dr. Pippin. If you hear last night, I mentioned how, you know, last night before I came here, he called me an hour before we started the program. You know, he was talking about missions. He drilled me for a quick second about missions and what we need to start doing. But throughout my time, another key figure, I reached out to him. Obviously, we go to the same church, but I reached out to him, and he was also accessible in my journey. Also, I had another friend. She's actually from Uganda, the lady there, Angeline. My parents brought her over. As you all know, we were missionaries in East Africa for 6 years. Well, my father was there most of the time for the 6 years. But we brought Angeline, a lady that was, because many of you may not know, but I was homeschooled for about 2-3 years when I was in Uganda. I was going to go to primary school. My mother was actually my first teacher. So my mother was the one teaching me. And my mother, they decided to bring this young lady here. She came and did a doctorate of nursing, and she's actually a professor at Pacific Union College at Advanced University. Amen. But she was one of the key people that when she came to the States, she could have done a whole bunch of terrible things, but she decided to keep focused. And I decided to use people like that as mentors in my life. So you got to find mentors who are going to guide you and help you through your educational pursuit. Also, Dr. Yabo as well came to the graduation, and Doc and I, we always, he always says, Walla Walla corrupted me, but I beg to differ. I hope he's listening right now. But what I want you all to know is that individuals like these are the people who inspired us. Matter of fact, he helped Kojo go to Uganda and do a week of prayer at Bugema University. All I say is that have mentors that can guide you. The sixth commandment is, thou shalt have active and engaged spiritual life. That's the thing right here. You see, a lot of us, when we go to college or university, and Columbus, Ghana, sometimes we do college visitation. So we go to the different campuses where our church members are. Most of them, they're not going to class. They stay snoozing and sleep. They hit that snooze button constantly on their phone. Stay sleeping in school. They're not going to church. There's a church like 2 minutes down the street, but I don't know if they're so lazy or what. But the whole thing is this. When you go out to college or anything of that nature, or university, however you all kind of use that here in this system, my key thing is this. To have the Adventist faith still with you through your educational journey, you have to have an active and engaged spiritual life. So what did I do? Because I'm talking about how I did it. So what I did was that I was part of the Christian clubs on campus. I felt that if I was a part of these clubs will help me with my spiritual life. So Kwesi Donko was the president of the Black student, and Kwesi was my role model. So I was like, whatever Kwesi Donko did, I always tell him I wanted to outdo him, right? He's intelligent, I wanted to outdo him. So he was president of the BSCF club. I'm like, Kwesi, I'm gonna outdo what you did and make it great. And I think I did make it great. I don't know if you listened to this. But the key thing here is this, man. I put myself in spiritual activities. That's the key thing. As you all go through college and matriculate through education, have and put yourself through these various kinds of programs. I was a part of, Christian fellowship. All these different things help me with my Christian walk. I have a few minutes here. Let me get to the next thing here is my church family. Right? A lot of times we complain about church family because they're the first ones to gossip and criticize. For me, I see that as tough love. That's how I see it. I'm like, look, man, church ain't a museum, right? It's a hospital. And people are gonna come at you sideways, but are you gonna have the thick skin to get over that? And my church family were the people who always supported me. The people, I remember my church family, they created a scholarship for us where every month, every semester, they were sending us $50. I mean, it wasn't much, but the whole thing is that they cared about us as we were matriculating through college. And that was excellent. That just showed that my church family loved me. And the key thing here is that, and this also goes to the church at large, when our young people go out there, we have to be intentional about calling them. Some of these people, I say this humbly, right? I know some of us can't speak the best of English. I know some people call me, they'll say, hello, all right, Kofi, I just want to talk to you. Good day, God bless you, and hang up the phone. I know they don't have a lot to say, but the fact that they cared about you, that's what matters. If you don't have the worst of things to say, a simple phone call will work. My church family was there for me, and obviously they came from my graduation. YonkodoradioTV Radio. and I want to make the larger point of this, that, I went to school in a place, and this is pretty unique. Within a 2-hour radius, there was no Adventist church within my area. So, boom, boy, Saturday I could sleep all day, every day, right? But let me tell you something that's going on today. And a lot of times people make this excuse, well, I don't have a church around here. I can't really be engaged with people who are Adventists because no one's Adventist around here. Online streaming, y'all. We on Snapchat every day, Instagram all day. But thanks to the ministries of Yonkodo Radio, You know, my own church, Columbus Down, we have a streaming show. And various churches stream. There's still creative ways that you can still keep and engage spiritual life. Everybody get a round of applause for Auntie. Everybody get a round of applause for Auntie. People don't know the power. You know, when the 25th anniversary was going on, I didn't have a church around me. I would watch the 25th anniversary. You know, I have a strong memory, so I can tell you all the things that went down. I can spit them all back to you. My whole thing is this. I had an appreciation and I actively engaged myself. Let me go to the 7th one. Thou shalt engage in meaningful conversation with others. You can learn from the testimony of somebody else. Right? There's people who have gone through things, you can learn from their testimony. Let me get through number 8. Oh, let me talk about this individual real quick. So you see my father, there's another man on the other side. How old do you all think he is? Somebody give a guess.
102.
He's 102. You're not that far though, but who can guess? 90 something. He's actually turning 90 this September. And this person right here, he was my former boss. So when I was working in high school, he taught me a lot of the ropes. And he came out for my graduation. He came all the way from New York. He's old school. He took a train, but he came all the way for my graduation. But I used to have meaningful conversations with him. And that also helped me in my Christian Adventist walk. Let me get to number 8 here. Thou shalt kill the noise that will come your way in your educational journey. I kind of talked about that a little bit, meaning that, and come back to my sermon today. Yeah, people are not always going to believe in you, but can you cancel and kill that noise and still pursue with your educational journey? Number 9, thou shalt ask and commit to the Lord to guide thy path. You know, I love Kojo and I love Afia, and I'm going to speak about Afia here and Kojo. You know, in our entire family, the only person, you know, myself and Kojo are pretty intelligent, but the person who was recognized for that, the valedictorian of our family, is Afia Twumasi, my sister. She's currently at Oakwood, about to go to her final year and going into medical school. But she was the valedictorian. And in her valedictorian speech that she gave, she said that there are things within us. There are tiny measures that are within us. But I want you to understand that the things that are ahead of us and the things that are before us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us. And the key thing I want you all to understand here is that once you commit to the Lord will guide your path. I remember when I was young and I see my father graduate, I was like, I want to be just like my father. In life, I said, I never want to be average. No. I want to be the best person I could be. Amen. I make that commitment to the Lord. And the Lord keeps on guiding thy path. And the 10th thing and the final thing I want to say here is that thou shalt engage in service. Yesterday we talked about Paul. We said that Paul had all the education in the world. Paul was not educated, but was educated. Paul had, if Paul had been in the 21st century, he would have gone to Crawford Academy and he would have been the valedictorian of his class. He would have gone through York University and would have got magna cum laude or summa cum laude. He would have gone on and been a walking encyclopedia. He would have been on CNN. He would have been changing the world with his academic brilliance. But guess what? We don't remember Paul for his intellectual capabilities. We remember him more for his legacy towards service. And I want you to understand something very clearly here. With all the education you have acquired, if you engage it in service, the Lord will reward you to have your faith keep going on. Every single year, we go out and do service work. You can do it here in your local backyard or anything of that nature. But all these things kept me grounded. That is my 10 commandments right there of keeping your faith and making sure that you are doing what you need to do through your education. So I have about 25 minutes or 26 minutes. I'm going to open it up for questions and anything that you have. All right, I think we have a question. I don't know if we have the mic going around, Elder, if you don't mind.
I want to go back to the first point about the Untitled Chapter 21. The text says, Simon, Simon, Satan has sought to put the most sinful like you. We understand that part. What does it mean? It's sifted like
Is it the way he wanted to?
what does the text mean when it says Satan has sought to sift you like wheat? What's that? Oh, who said a broken? You understand what I'm saying? Okay, we don't want to waste time. But I want to give you a little clue. When Jesus was about to begin his ministry, he did a 40-day fast. Right after that, what happened to him? Who came to him and what happened? Who remembers? Satan, what did he do? He tempted, temptation. If you are on a Christian journey, no matter what age you are, the first thing you have to understand and be prepared and ready for is that you'll be tempted in diverse ways. Okay? So, Peter, the Lord knew what was coming. Peter failed, but his faith didn't totally fail him. Why? Can you imagine that Peter was in the courtyard where the Lord Jesus was? He was being whipped, they were asking him stupid questions, they were torturing him, and then a young girl came up and said, "Oh, you, I know you. You are one of his people, aren't you?" And Peter denied the Lord 3 times. Did he not succumb to the temptation? He did. So, young people, growing up, regardless of how much education you have, regardless of everything, all the support you get and everything else, remember that Satan is always looking for your weak point to hit you right there.
The Lord has prayed.
So, the key is standing. Paul said, after doing all things, we should stand. Right? I don't want to make this a long thing, but that is where a lot of us sometimes we fall down, and it's easy. It's not easy to get up. So the text says, Satan has sought to sift you like wheat. It's about temptation. How many Adventists have fallen behind, backsliding to the point where they renounce the church? There are people in this church that I used to know. They came to church. I in fact look up to them. Today, some of them have even left the church. Totally. Remember this. He who puts his hands to death and turns back is not fit for what? The kingdom of heaven. Thank you very much. I hope you have got my point.
Amen.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. I see the mic is coming around. All right. Any other questions? We have the mic here. Great. So the mic is here. Any other questions? We have about less than 20 minutes, and then we can wrap it up. We can wrap it up here. Everybody's afraid? Don't worry, I won't slaughter you. What's up, Nana?
Hi, Kofi. So you made a point during your PowerPoint where you mentioned that you feel as though parents should invest in their children's education. So as a student that has gone through and you've gone your JD, how do you believe our parents can invest in their children's education? Because I think that a lot of them don't always understand the ways in which that they can invest. Sometimes people think that's more so financially, or they think that it may be just in a physical way, but based on your experience and what you have seen through other students, what would be the ways that you feel that they can invest in their children's education?
All right, excellent question, excellent question. So yeah, I can talk from my experience and what people also recommend as well. But yeah, a lot of times people think it's financially, right? And that's a point I made. We like to put them in programs, pay for this, do this, but that's not that. The key thing is that I always love to say this, you have to establish rapport with your child. You see, when you're when you're marketing a product to somebody, right? If I want to sell somebody this mic, I can't say, look, the mic is $25, buy it. I got to build a rapport with that person. I got to figure out why this mic will change his life. And that's the same when it comes to investing in your child. You have to build a rapport with your child. You have to figure out how to engage with your child. You have to figure out how to engage with the same activities with your child. So a lot of this comes with learning about your child's interests, being there for your child, having a presence for your child, and not only that, spending time with your children, right? A lot of people I know, they take their children on vacations, they take them to seminars, conferences together. So all I'm trying to say is this, right? It's not really a boxed answer I can give, but what I want to say is that figure out ways that you can engage in similar activities. So if they have a hobby or passion, how can you be there for them? How can you be a part of that process? Right? I know a father who used to play basketball. He made that an intentional thing. Every Sunday, I'm gonna spend time to play basketball with my son, and we're gonna use that time just to have one-on-one conversations. And it's a free-for-all, right? We can talk about the people you're dating. I know that's taboo in our culture, but you know, all these different things. You know, my thing is that engage with them in their activity, their passion, and being a presence. That's as broad as I can give it.
This is so blasé. Every time we have these kinds of lectures here, the young people, they forget a lot of things and they beat up on their parents. Let me tell you something. I have seen mothers and dads in this church that they didn't have the opportunities their children have now. Some of them just went through elementary school. So when they got back here, all their thoughts were, how am I going to bring my daughter here? How am I going to let them go to school? How am I going to do this and that and that and that? Sometimes work takes so much of their energies and time. Work. You said your dad had 2 jobs, Doc. I want the youth to put themselves in our place. When we first came here, we didn't know the system. I didn't come here, I came here to go to school. But others came here, they landed here and that was it. Looking for work was a big issue. But if moms and dads have been able to do everything humanly possible, to do 3 jobs, 2 jobs, 1 job, whatever, they come home, they are not going to sit in an office, they go and labor. So by the time 8 hours is done, they are exhausted. And if they come home, well, you know what it is? It's not every father and mother in that situation who can afford to also spend quality time with children. I hope our kids will realize that, because, you see, somebody had to build a foundation. I have a friend here whose daughter, I saw that kid as a baby. Now the kid is in university. Guess what? My friend was not that educated. His job was minimum wage. It was tough over the years, but they managed to help these kids. So when they talk about spending time with the kids and all the rest, it's fine. But the kids should realize where their parents are coming from. My dad, he told me just one word before he died. I had gone through high school, all the rest. Then I had gone to University of Science and Technology. He had no idea. So when I told him I was in tech, he said, get a BSc. The next day, the old man passed away. And that motivated me so much. I went through a lot of help. Still, every time it was tough, like really tough, I remembered my dad saying, get a BSc, until I got a BSc. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah. You know, I'll just say, I'll say quickly to that before you get your question. You're right, you know, a lot of times, you know, my father and them generation, I say this humbly, because of, you know, the circumstances they came into this country, they've been forced to work 2-3 jobs. So a lot of times you're not able to spend time with your child. But that's where as a parent, you have to be intentional at times. Go ahead.
All right, I'll keep this short. I thought about the 10 Commandments that you elaborated on, and I think there are general strategies for how to bring up your children, well, to do well in education and also for parents in some ways. But one thing that I realized, and I think this is an issue that's particular to our church and probably generally an issue in the world in terms of parenting today, is that the strategies that you use to bring up your children might be different for your daughter than it is for your son. And it seems that the challenge that's most unique to today is for how to bring up your child, how to bring up your son in a way that you would want him to become successful and productive.
Right.
So my question that I want you to try to give us some, I guess, your thoughts on, and maybe perhaps some solutions is, what are the unique strategies that you think that parents of today in our church and elsewhere could use to bring up their sons in a way that will make them at least as productive as their daughters? Because we see a trend in the world today where girls are more productive and doing much more than boys.
Right. It's a very good question. And what I'll say is this, you know, being in the legal world, I realize that, especially for sons, a lot of times black fathers have been separated from their sons, so that affects them. And because of that, what happens is that gangs and street thugs and things of that nature become the presence for their son's life. And sometimes that's the sad part, because, you know, I've had friends that have died and people who have just gone to the wrong thing. But unique strategies that parents can use to raise their sons. I think, number one, you have to teach your son how to be a man. And I say this blunt as possible. You have to teach them how to be a man. And sometimes we don't do that. And how to be a man, you know, it can be a little bit ambiguous, and, you know, it may have different context to who you're speaking to. But you gotta teach them how to be a man. And I'll give that illustration clear and simple. I'll never forget, I was going to high school for the first time. So I lived in Queens, Far Rockaway. And if you kind of know New York City, we have the 5 boroughs, right? We have Manhattan, Brooklyn, Staten Island, these different areas. And I'll never ever forget this. My father was like, I'm going to take you, I was going to school in Harlem, so that's about like a 2-hour train ride. I know, after that summer, I didn't do it again. But I decided to take the 2-hour train ride. But this is what my father told me. He was like, Kofi, I never used a train before. I'm gonna take you on this train ride, then after that, you have to figure out how to get to Harlem every single time. And it wasn't like my father's giving me tough love, but you're showing me how to be a man, right? I'll never forget, my brother wanted to take a year off of school. He was at Oakwood, he had just finished his freshman year, and he wanted to take a year off of school. So we had our family meeting, and it didn't go too well, right? My father was like, there's no way, Kajo, you're taking a year off of school. You know, Kajo was like, no, Dad, the Spirit is telling me to, you know, theologian is always the Spirit, man. It's always the Spirit, man. And so it's like, so this was theologian. My father was like, no, you're gonna stay in school. But what my father did was this, that I'm gonna pay for you to go on short-term missionary trips. And I want you to understand this clearly here. My father paid for Kajo's missionary trip, and my father did not go with him. He let Kajo go alone. So he wanted Kajo to learn what it means to go out there and serve and do that on your standpoint. So for me, I say this, you gotta teach them how to be a man, right? I can throw out all the cliches, you know, the text, you know, being there for your son and things of that nature. All those things are there, but you have to teach your son how to be a man and be a part of that process. That's the best way I can see it.
So I have a
comment, if allowed, and a question.
Go ahead, I need.
So my comment is for all of us. I'm not a parent. I don't have kids.
Want to be.
Oh, God. But I am a teacher. I don't know if you know that, but I am a teacher. And I will say that I understand that it's hard to go to work, go about 12 hours, 8 hours, double shift, fabric. I understand that. But if you don't have time, your child will make time for someone and something else, no matter what you do. So you can make it's not an excuse, it's reality set at anyhow. But if you're leaving a child by themselves to do their own thing, to figure it out, no one is teaching them how to be a man or to be a woman. They'll go figure it out by themselves. I'm just putting that out there to everyone. And as a teacher, I can physically see the difference between kids who have someone involved in their life. Doesn't even have to be academic, just involved, period, and those who don't. It's a very obvious difference. So again, if you don't make time, even though you don't even have time, even if you have to sleep an extra, you have to lose an hour of sleep or whatever to do one thing, have a conversation. My dad on Sundays, even now I still go, everyone knows me and my dad are best friends. On Sundays we go wash the car together.
Right.
That's it. No bum and come on, we're not talking about anything so deep. I saw it. No, just talk. So that's it. And then two, my second question, or my question now is, based on your commandments, how do you, I guess, for people who are going to go away to school or even stay here, how do you seek maybe spiritual guidance if you're feeling like you're lacking? How do you seek that if you don't feel like you have that or you have access to that? And then how do you, I guess, balance seeking non-Adventist spiritual guidance? I just find that it's always, okay, I went to church and even if you go to church, even sometimes in your home church, you don't really feel necessarily spiritually connected. And sometimes, forgive me to say, there's maybe other denominations that speak to you, connect to you. How do you maneuver that and still maintain your Adventist faith? And then how do you do that when you're away? If you're away from home, away from your immediate circle, how do you seek spiritual guidance or help or things like that?
Yeah, very excellent question. One thing that we all yearn for is some kind of guidance in life, whether we want to admit it or not. And the short answer is this. And your question was twofold, so I'll answer the first part and then the second half of that. Seeking spiritual guidance and, non-Adventist kind of guidance, things of that nature. The first part for me is that reach out to a spiritual role model that you see. And sometimes we think that's so far-fetched, right? Sometimes it could be the person sitting next to you that can be that spiritual role model for you, based on what you've seen from them. But my thing is that you have to figure out someone out there, identify them, someone you can see their spiritual life, their spiritual character, and get them and say, how can I have you as my spiritual guidance or somebody that I can talk to? That's the key thing. And how do you identify those kind of people? I always say, you can't always look at somebody and say that, but sometimes you gotta take the risk, right? The greater the risk, the greater the reward. So you have to find that person who you say, look, he's doing something spiritually out there that I think I can learn from him. I can put that towards my life. The second thing about non-Adventist spiritual guidance, I always say you gotta take the salt and the sugar out of that, right? In terms of take what's good from them and what can help you. So I'm not saying that, put them aside, because I have people who, like I showed you, my boss, he was definitely not Adventist, things of that nature. But he was a person who can positively encourage me. And sometimes you need those positive individuals. Because you have to be well-rounded in your faith and take the good out of that. So for me, what I say is that definitely seek that. Definitely get that. I don't mind where you get it from. Well, are they breeding positivity in your life? But the downside is that there's also an influence. People can negatively influence you. So it's really a double-edged sword. What I say is that are they breeding positivity than someone you can have in your spiritual life? If it wasn't clear, you can definitely speak to me after.
Yeah, Doug.
Yes.
It's a question.
No problem.
How can we tell our young students, our kids, which subject is good for them? So that they don't go hit the rock and come back and start again.
Okay.
I'm not saying you have to force it on them.
Right.
But how can you let them know? Maybe you ask someone going to even a university, what do you want to study? I don't know. They show you, I don't know. And he's going to school.
Right.
Someone going to high school, what do you want to do? I don't know.
Right.
It's a common phrase.
Okay.
How can we, as parents or guardians or friends, get them to know which course or which is good for them instead of, as I just said, going for about 2 or 3 years, then, oh, I don't like this subject. Come back, student loan, time factor, energy, everything's involved. So what's your advice on that?
Sure, excellent question. Yeah, this is a frequent question I get in terms of, I don't know which career path I want to take. Then they go into school for like 6-7 years and they still come out with no degree. And you have people like that. You know, I went to Walla Walla University. There were people that were there before me, and when I left, they were still there. So it's a real challenge. And then people don't look at the burden that they put on, the debt that they're raising, you know, the family that's supporting them. So what I always say is this, and this comes back to being intentional about investing into your child. And I'll speak from my experience because that's the only way I can say it. When I was young, anything that my parents saw that I wanted to do, right? So for instance, if I come to the piano, right, because I can play piano, right? I started putting my keys on it. My parents were like, you know what, Kofi, we're gonna get in piano lessons. Boom. My parents made that happen when I was like 4 or 5 years old. Soon as they seen things I was interested in, my parents were immediately ready to invest in that. I wanted to do a legal program, so my parents were there, okay, Kofi, maybe there's people I can talk to help you get to this legal path. After my freshman year in high school, I had my first internship at the district attorney's office in Queens. This was all leading to my legal path, and I didn't even really know that. So the key thing is that the small things that you show interest in them when they're young, that would help them ultimately decide the maybe that they want to do. Now, that's one way to look at that. Another way too is that taking your child and having them speak to an educational counselor, things of that nature, that can help them identify their interests. Because a lot of people come to me and say, you know, I want to do film. Okay. You got a YouTube channel? Nope. You got a camera? Nope. But I want to do film. So I'm like, what's going on? You got a website? No. But I want to do film. I want to do film. So have you done a short video or, you know, something of that nature? No, but I want to do film. So my thing is that personally, and this could be controversial here, I don't care what you do, you know, and people can say, well, you're not a father, so you don't understand the depths you're going through. But what I would tell my child is, whatever you're going to do, put the work ethic behind it. That's my key thing. Put the hard work behind it. I will support you as a parent. Let me tell you this. My father and mother support me every single time. I'm working on my license. I need a bar prep program. My father's like, I'm gonna give you $1,000. He didn't even question that. You need a bar, if this is gonna help you, I'm gonna give you that. The small things. So if you wanna help them figure out and make it, whatever they're interested when they're young, North America has a plethora of programs. My time is almost up, but I don't know. Okay.
Now, I'm just giving a small contribution to that question that came in. Because what he's seeing here is a trend that is going on. That people go to school, they hit a rock. Trust me, I've been to the university system, most of us have been. And they will give you courses that you don't like. You might be doing nursing, and they will put in some courses like, it has nothing to do with nursing. But you have to pass that course, no matter what it is. And that is where they get the challenge. Because they don't like that course, but you have to pass that course before you move on. So what they do is, I don't like that course. Then they fail it. So if you fail those 2 courses, then you are stuck. I can't move forward. Then he comes home and he says, I don't like what I'm doing. It's not that he doesn't like or she doesn't like what he's doing, but there are some courses in there that they don't like. That is the reality.
Yeah.
And they have to fail that course, and when they fail that course, then that is a problem.
Right.
So what I tell my kids is, you said you want film and television. Get a degree in that. I don't want anything. Just get a degree.
Right.
No matter what it is, come home with a BA or something. Because once you are in there, you may find some things that you may be interested in, and you sway your way in there. So no matter what course or program you choose, just stick with it. Go through it. Finish it. Get a degree, and you will see that it will open the doors for other things.
Amen. Amen. And let me add to that. You know, a lot of times, what I've seen in law school, right? In law school, black people have a bad rep, right? That people don't see us as smart, so we're the most underestimated person. And I love it. I love being underestimated. But when they hear me speak, they're like, whoa. All right, man, we got somebody serious here. My thing is this. At the end of the day, sometimes you have to go through the tough things for you to see the light. And the key thing is that once you hit it, and this is what I love about the liberal arts. The liberal arts, there's so many different courses, and I say this politely. Don't put your school in front of your education. All right, there's a contrast between the two here, and I could go on for this, but I'll just break it down real simple. Don't put your school in front of your education. They're two different things. Education, I like to say this is is knowledge, right? Knowledge, wisdom, that's how I'll simply define it. And school is the institutionalized, process that you go through. My thing is this, a lot of people can go through school, but are never well-rounded about life. I can, sometimes I sit with my peers of mine, they can mention books like, how to win friends and lose friends, Rich Kid, Poor Dad, all these popular books. You see that guy who went through medical school does not even know what they're talking about. My whole thing is this, be a well-rounded individual, because you got to keep up. When I'm speaking to some of my brilliant friends, you got to keep up. Because if you don't keep up, they're going to be like, yo, who's this guy? My thing is that you have to make sure when the toughness going gets up. But I don't want to steal too much time. My time is not too much. So go ahead. Last question.
It's not a question really. I just want to give a contribution to the question that the apostle asked. I've had an experience like this before. There are most of the time that parents also don't support their children to achieve their dream. In the sense that sometimes the child might be having a dream that he wants to attain, and he knows what actually the program that he's taking will take him to. Yet the parents will be saying, no, this is the program I want you to take because I know everybody do this and the person is able to get a job. When I completed high school back home in Ghana, I got the grades that I can go to university. And I remember by then my daddy was telling me I have to go to teachers training college. Because as soon as you finish, you will easily get your job. And there were no job for university graduates. And I told my dad I was never going to do it. So, if I could say fortunately or unfortunately for me, I applied for the actual program I wanted to do, and they said the cutoff grade was like grade 7. Mine was at F7, even though I got it right. So later on, when my dad realized that no, there was no one going to go to training college, he just spoke to one professor, doctor, he's an Adventist lecturer at University of Cape Coast. So I had a talk with him, and he gave me an optional program that I can do that also relates to business field. And I did that program. And I got grades when I graduated from university, I just got a job right away. So my advice is sometimes the parents sit down with their children. If you're able to explain the reason why they want to really go into that field, give him or her all the necessary support. In the case where you don't have much idea, just consult the best educationist to also assist the child in taking that decision. And I think that is best for the students.
Thank you so much. Our time is up, but if you have any other questions, you can definitely see me after that. So thank you all so much. Why don't we all stand up for a word of prayer, or you got something to say? I do want to thank Pastor Broby. Is Pastor Broby here? Okay, no problem. Okay. Let me give a shout out to Pastor Brobe. Oh, he's coming. All right. But a lot of good things I heard here today, and I will say this, I do open up myself as people need, you know, if they're going through school and you need help, you need career guidance, I definitely open myself up to that. You can take my number. You also need spiritual guidance to help as well. You also take my number as well. I make those services available. All right, Pastor, I see you. I just wanted to thank you so much for giving me this opportunity and extending it. Everybody give a round of applause for Pastor for making this happen.
We will take this opportunity to thank you very much for the honoring our invitation here. We think we got a lot from you for from since yesterday up to today, and we hope that whenever it's time for you to come back, you always honor the invitation and come and speak to us. Can we give him a round of applause? I will thank everybody who contributed to this program. Young people too, we thank you for coming and supporting this. And we do this just to encourage you. So now we will get up and sing, "Blessed be the tie that binds." If I can get the hands to help us. And after that, Pastor will bless us. And it will be blessed. Sorry. Some you pay and Balano when you're ready near Pop.
This program, and we want to thank Dr. Twumasi for the powerful word that he spoke in. I know God brought him, and we're happy that he accepted it, and he has come, and he has done what God called him to do. He has motivated us through the words, and so he's going to help us. Let's keep him in prayer, because now it's not over. He has another big exams ahead of him.
That's right.
When you get into this profession, you know that you are always in for big exams, professional exams. So keep in prayer, and let's keep one another in prayers and our children in prayers. Thank God for today. Please, I'm appealing humbly to the board members. Immediately we are done here, let us go and let us begin our board meeting. We want to use not more than 2 hours for this board meeting. So by 6 p.m. we will be done, and those of you who may have some other places to touch would have that time. So just walk in immediately. We are finished here. Thank you. Let's bow our heads and pray. Our most gracious God, we want to thank you so much for the beautiful Sabbath day. Yes, it's a day of rest, a day of joy, a day of fellowship, a day of communion with you, a day in which we feel we've been blessed by your presence and by your word, spoken to us through our dear friend and brother Twumasi. The fact that he's been able to deliver the message that you gave him. He will go back tomorrow. We ask you, Lord, to take him back safely. Yes, there's a lot of things happening around, and when you are boarding plane, nothing is guaranteed. But we have faith in you that you will send him back home safely. And when he gets there and we hear of it, we will be careful to give you the praise and the glory. Thank you for the words that have been spoken to us. Help us, Lord, to know that you have put some dreams in our lives and that we need to journey on and to get those dreams fulfilled through your mighty grace. So help us never to be discouraged. Help us to fervently hope and trust and work towards all the goals and the visions and the dreams that you have given us. We pray that you will lift up our children. Give them the right mind, the intelligence, the skills, the knowledge, the wisdom, and everything that they need to excel in this country. And we know that even as they excel academically in secular academics, surely you will bless them to take over this church so that many will also be won into. And we are about to enter into another week. We ask for your very presence. Journey with us throughout the week. And may your blessings be with us till we meet another day. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen.
I'm